The composition all matter comprises subatomic particles such as electrons, protons, and neutrons. At least 17 types of subatomic particles cannot be further divided. Thus, a spoonful of salt and sugar is inherently composed of the same indistinguishable fundamental particles. From atoms and molecules to geological structures, plants, animals, and even the entire universe are made up of the same types of subatomic particles. The only distinctions lie in the proportions, types, and organization of subatomic particles within each atom or molecule. Neil deGrasse Tyson said it best: "We are all connected to each other biologically, to the Earth chemically, to the rest of the universe atomically." Despite this interconnectedness, we have the ability to perceive coherent lumps of matter with unique properties as distinct entities over time. Each entity has two aspects: a material component and accumulation of emergent properties. An entity's identity consists of a collection of unique properties that pertain to a specific quantity and quality of coherent matter and energy. This means that each entity comprises several subcomponents that result in an overall property. These physical or chemical properties include attributes such as morphology, anatomy, plasticity, elasticity, excitability, periodicity, weight, density, and response to stimuli. These overall properties can be deterministic or emergent. Comparing and understanding the nature of identities between living beings and non-living things is more fruitful than directly comparing them. Both living and non-living things share some similarities. They exist, occupy space, and are stable and resistant to change. What is the fundamental property of an entity, shape, or color? In biology, the formation of structures is fundamental to all other life features. Genetic information must form a structure from which all other aspects of an organism's form emerge. Generally, all males of a species will look structurally similar, even if there are differences in coloration. The fundamental aspect is that the shape or structure of an entity remains constant. Birds of the same species may have different colors but similar shapes. Flowers on a plant may differ in color but share the same shape. The same is the case with humans. What is the purpose of existence? What is the reason for the existence of an entity? Let us consider a rock at the bottom of a mountain. We can ask two different questions. I, how did the rock come into existence? The past. T, why did the rock come into existence? The purpose. These questions are related, but not the same. It is easier to answer the how question with a bit of geology and other related sciences, as we can reason based on the properties of the rock. The more challenging question is why the rock came into existence. When we ask why, we are exploring the future events in which the rock will affect its surroundings and the purpose of the rock coming into existence. The why question is tricky because it can refer to the events that led to the existence of the rock, or the events that should happen in which the rock has a role to play. Science is wonderfully equipped to answer the question how, but it gets terribly confused when you ask the question why. Erwin Chargaff. One of the biggest differences between animals and humans is the mind, which is so powerful that it needs an answer for everything. Our mind can reason almost everything, and that is a solace to the body. The most horrifying problem is that the mind asks many questions, far too many and too deep, and those that are beyond the limitation of our senses and intuition. That is the tragedy humans are born into, but with three options. The options are I, to derive the answer by ourselves, which is most times taxing in effort and time. We, to learn and trust answers from others, which is often fallacious. And to live with the unanswered question, which is the worst of all options because it leaves the mind rattled. Relevant to our context here, some of the questions are about the purpose and future of things and events. In our minds, we also tend to ask who made it and what the purpose of that creation is. I am unsure if any animal thinks that deeply and far into the future or past. The complexity of cognition has increased tremendously since the origin of the nervous system. The specialty of modern human cognition is the immense curiosity and ability to get to an answer, whether right or wrong. Language and cognition are intertwined. The order of words that depict a logic that is yet to be disproved tends to be the correct answer for that moment. Who is the creator? The notion that there must be a creator for everything is a commonly held belief, and the search for this creator continues. Even without proof, the idea that God is the creator persists as it cannot be disproven and is therefore accepted as true. Humans have a tendency to assume that every entity has a creator and a specific purpose for its creation. We find it difficult to accept that some things simply came into existence without a creator or intention behind their formation. Rather than grapple with the unsettling feeling of not knowing the reasons, we would rather embrace any reason that cannot be disproven. We may even argue over who or what created an entity and for what purpose. We acknowledge that we do not know the purpose of creation, but we assume that it is for the greater good of the system. Throughout most of human history, we had limited knowledge about the origins and reasons behind the existence of things. Even in modern civilization and within the scientific community, there is agreement on how things came to be, but disagreement persists regarding the why. We are constantly puzzled by the purpose behind something coming into existence. As time passes and events unfold, we attempt to fit the outcomes into the questions of the past. Answering the why question for a specific event or object in the present moment is challenging. It is easy to simply say, "I don't know," but that may undermine our sense of self or intellect. Another convenient response is to attribute everything to God's creation. But is that a valid or reasonable explanation? It still leaves us with the lingering why. In our pursuit of understanding the reasons behind events and objects, we are inevitably confronted with the unyielding question of why. Why did humans come into existence? Why did life as a whole come into existence? Why Earth, the sun, and the entire universe? And ultimately, what is the purpose of our existence? Unfortunately, there are no definitive answers. We must settle for responses like, "I don't know," "I don't care," "a mysterious God," "the purpose of life is to discover why," or "I agree with whatever you say." Children have an easier time with these existential questions because they are not expected to have the answers and are encouraged to accept the explanations provided by their elders. As adults, however, we are expected to answer children's inquiries. What should we do when we don't know the answer? Personally, I believe it is better to admit "I don't know," however belittling it is. As for the rest of our discussion, I do not foresee a definitive plan, nor do I know if there is an inherent intention behind the existence of all things in nature. Instead, let us focus on the study of nature itself and explore the origins of different entities within it. Existence manifests in two primary ways, through environmental shaping and the creation by pre-existing entities. In the first, entities emerge passively, shaped entirely by external forces with no agency of their own. Examples include a granite stone formed over millennia by natural processes, or an oxbow lake sculpted by the flowing river's path. These entities are products of their environment, molded without intention. In the second, existence stems from the active role of a pre-existing entity. A duckling is nurtured into life by its mother, and a nest is crafted deliberately by a bird. This creative process reflects a purposeful relationship between the creator and what is created, highlighting a fundamental distinction from environmentally shaped entities. Those that are created by the pre-existing entities are made because of instinct or intent for a purpose. Living organisms exhibit a purpose deeply rooted in the continuation and perpetuation of life. Their primary objective is reproduction, perpetuating their genetic lineage and contributing to the biodiversity of ecosystems. For example, a tree's purpose is to produce seeds and propagate new trees, ensuring the survival and expansion of its species. Similarly, animals fulfill their purpose by mating and producing offspring, sustaining their populations and ecological roles. Artificial entities, creations of human ingenuity, serve specific purposes aligned with their design and intended use. For instance, a computer's purpose is to process data, facilitate communication, and support various tasks in human society. Tools, machines, and infrastructure are designed with specific functionalities to enhance productivity, efficiency, and convenience for their users, serving the needs and goals of the creators. Similarly, a bird's nest and an otter's dam serve the purpose of their creator. Deceased entities representing remnants of past life do not possess inherent purpose in the conventional sense. Non-living entities such as rocks, minerals, and geological formations exist without a conscious purpose. One conclusion that can be made is that the entities created by the pre-existing entities are often made for the service of the creator. What is the purpose of humans?